we've gone through a couple of concepts. We work with Excel, pivots, power pivots, pivot tables, Power Query in Excel. Then we moved to SQL. We went through basic to intermediate SQL. We went through joins, different kinds of clauses, order by, group by, etc. And then we delved into Power BI, where we went through how to connect to data, how to clean and transform data, how to model data, and how to create common visualizations in Power BI. So today we'll combine all we've gone through so far. I'll try to create a Power BI portfolio project. So this video will be in two parts. We won't go through everything today. So without much ado, let's get down to business. So we've gone through connecting to data, creating data models, and for this project, right, we would take it further, right? We'll visualize and try to create a data story in a dashboard, and then publish this dashboard to the Power BI service so others can consume it. So for this project, we'll be working with a fictitious company called AdventureWorks. And AdventureWorks is a large multinational manufacturing company that produces and distributes bicycles, parts, and accessories for commercial markets in North America, Europe, and Asia. And the company employs over 500 workers. Additionally, AdventureWorks employs several regional sales teams throughout its market base. So you're working as a data analyst in this company, and the sales manager reached out to you, right, and wants you to help answer some business problems. So you're asked to create reports, right, to help answer this question: what is the current market demand for our products, and how does this demand vary by region? Then also, what is our current sales performance, and how does it compare to past performance and industry benchmarks? And lastly, you're asked to answer the question: what is the customer satisfaction and loyalty level, and what actions can we take to improve it? So for this project, we'll be working with the AdventureWorks data base. It's a popular database for data engineers, data scientists, data analysts. It's a very common database. So for this project, here are the steps to take, right? We'll try to install the database in a local server. So I'm working with SQL Server for this project. And then we'll try to read through requirements and prepare user story. So we've already done that, right? That's why I just showed in the last slide. Like so typically this request, right, will come in from an email or in-person meeting, right? So you take notes, then you go back and try to translate this into actual data problems. So the next thing we'll do is to identify required tables that will help us answer these questions. So the database you're working with is it has a lot of tables. So we'll try to find the tables we'll be working with. And then next thing, we'll try to clean the tables and create views, which we'll use for analysis. And then we'll connect to these views and Power Query, then transform this data, model data, create measures, and build our dashboard. So let me share my full screen. So I'm assuming you can see my screen. So this Microsoft's page where you can access the AdventureWorks database. So there are several ways to install this on your database, right? For this project, we use backup files. So you have backup files here on the database. So what you do is you come on here, right? And you click on, so you have OLTP. These like transaction-based data. Then you have a data warehouse. This has been cleaned and transformed for analysis. Then you also have a lightweight version. So working with the data warehouse version. So when you come to this link, right, it will be on the video description. So you come here, you click this link here, and this will start downloading database to your system. So I already have the file downloaded, right? So I'll just pause the download. So once you download this, right, by default, it would save on your downloads folder. So for this project, right, we're assuming that you already have SQL Server and SQL Server Management Studio installed. If you haven't, I would put a link to the video where I went through all that. But we're assuming you have SQL Server installed and SQL Server Management Studio installed also. So once you download this file, right, just give me a second. Yeah. So once you download this file, right, the next thing I'll do is I'll come onto my laptop and open up SQL Server Management Studio. So I open this up. This will take some time, right? So by default, the files are saved in your downloads folder. So if I come here, you see it's not here, right? But this is where you see your file in downloads folder. So you want to move this file to this location. So you see a path on this website. So this location, you want to move your file to this location on your laptop. This way you can easily reinstall it, right? So if you see here, C/program files, Microsoft SQL Server, down to the backup folder. So I'll try to locate this. So you can copy this and paste in your search bar if it brings up any results. Let me see. So it brings no results, but I'll try to locate it myself. So I'll come to my folder and I'll come to my local disk, this C. So he said C/program files. So I open up program files and then Microsoft SQL Server. So you have that here, SQL Server. And then MySQL 15 SQL Express. So I open this up. I open this up also. Then you have the backup folder. So this is where you would copy the file you downloaded and save it in here. So if I open this up, right, you see where I copied the file, AdventureWorks TW 2019 back. So while I was doing this, I had some issues. I couldn't access this folder, right? So if you have this issue when doing this, what you can do is so what I did was I did a right click. I came down to properties and then came down to security. So I clicked on this user administrator desktop, hit edit, I think. And then, yeah, I chose the same administrator and clicked on add, right? So once I hit add, previously this guy was not here, this user was not here. But when I click add, this user now popped up. So I could now access the folder and paste the file. But if for any reason you can't access the folder, you can just paste it in this place, right? Just paste it here. You can still access it with SSMS. So once you have the file in this folder, right? I then open up my SQL Server Management Studio. So I come on here and I connect to SQL Server. So you can see I already have the database installed, right? So what I'll do is I'll just delete it and do it again. So I delete this. That's deleted. Let me do the same for this one also. Delete this. This is a transaction database. I just downloaded it, but you don't need to, right? So when you open up your SSMS, right, you won't see the AdventureWorks database here. So you're trying to reinstall the database from the backup folder. So what you do is you come onto this folder called databases, you hit right click, and you come down to where you have restore database, right? You come down to where you have restore. So right click, restore database, right? You come down to this option. So it brings up this tab. And here, right, it asks for the source. So I'll choose device, it's on my laptop device. And I'll come to the right-hand side and click on these three ellipses. So I hit this, and I can now access the folder where I saved the file. So I click on add, and these your different folders, right? So you look for where you put the file. So mine is in backup, right? But if you could not access backup and you put it here, then you see the file somewhere around here, right? But mine is in backup, so open backup, you see the file. So I choose AdventureWorks DW 2019, and I hit OK. And then hit OK also. Then hit OK also. So it's reinstalling the database, right? And I'll close this tab. Looks like it's completed. I'll close this tab. So it says we're stopped successfully. So now you can see the database on my database folder. So I can open this up and open up the tables. So you see there are quite a number of tables in this database, right? There are quite a number of tables. So we'll try to find out the tables we'll need for analysis and see how they are structured. So I came across this platform online. So like I said, this is a popular database used for a couple of projects. So I came across this online. So this guys, they've like created a dictionary for this data base, right? So all the dimension tables, all the fact tables, how they are connected to other tables, right? You have all that information here. So this can be useful. So for example, let's say I want to explore the dimension tables. So I click on dimensions. So I can see how all these tables are connected together. So you can see these lines are showing you how the different tables are connected together. And you can come down and look at, so this is a fact table, for example, internet sales. So I can see this fact table and how other dimensions connect to this fact table, right? So this is useful. So you can do the same thing in SQL Server also, but then the website I just showed you, it will be very, very helpful. So that's why I used to help you understand how all the tables are connected. So let's go back to our slide, right, to look at the business questions we're trying to answer. So it says, what is the current market demand for our products and how does it vary by region? So from this question, right, it will give you an idea of the kind of tables. So before I go into this, right, ideally, right, working in a business where you have a structured data team, this kinds of stuff is what a data engineer or a DBA will help you with, right? They will give you access to all the tables you need. But then we're assuming that you don't have that help, right? You're doing it yourself. So from the question, it's asking us, right, market demand for our products and how does it vary by region? So from these, I can easily pick out two entities, right? One is products, another one is region. That's like location, right? Maybe countries, continents, etc. So I've picked up like a location attribute and also a product attribute. So that's like our dimension, right? For the first question, products, region. And then market demand. So that's like you're measuring something, right? It could be sales, number of orders, quantity of orders and stuff like that. So for the first question, I have an idea of the kind of data I need. I need a fact table that captures sales transactions. I also need a dimension that captures product information, and also a table that also captures location information. So if I come back to SQL Server, right? Not SQL Server. So the tables, the way they are named, right, it's quite helpful. So the ones that start with DIM, those are dimension tables. And the ones that start with FACT, right? DBUFAC, those are fact tables, right? So from the dimension tables, I can see a couple of tables. I can see a product table, for example. So this product, right? So this might help us answer our question. I have products here. I also have product category. Let me expand this. I also have product category. I also have subcategory also. So these tables have info about products from what I can see, right? I also have dim geography. So this might contain info about location, right? But then we are assuming. So let's explore these tables and see what they contain. So I'll come on to, let's start with the product table. So I'll come on here and let me see what this contains. So I do a right click and just select top 1000 rows just to explore what it contains. So I click on this and this should run a query that shows us the top 1000 rows in that table. So here I can see it has a column product key. So this is typically the primary key, right? The unique identifier of the table. I also have a couple of columns. So when I scroll, so I can see the product names, right? English product name, Spanish product name. These are all the same thing, just different languages. So when I scroll also, let me see other fields are contained here. So I have so not all fields are useful, right? So try to just find what would help us answer our question. So I'm seeing a couple of columns that might not be useful, but this is a good start. I can see a couple of useful fields here that describe products, right? So products name, for example, and then some things to note, right? You have what's called a product subcategory key. And you notice that we saw a product subcategory table initially. So possibly this is how this table is linked to the subcategory table via the subcategory key. So let's explore a different table. So this is product. Let's look at subcategory. So the same thing, top 1000 rows for the product category. Okay, so this is just 4 columns. It has the category key, alternate key, the category name. So I guess this is the category of all the products. So this company sells things like bikes, right? Clothing, accessories. So these are the 4 category of products that are sold in this company. This is a Spanish name, this is a French name. So we just need the English name. So I've looked at products, looked at category. Let's look at subcategory also. So I do this also, 1000 rows. And I can see this contains more information about the products. So you can see the subcategory of product. So a category, down in the hierarchy, you have what's a subcategory. So for example, all these mountain bikes, road bikes, etc., they all fall under the bike category, right? So from what I can see, these 3 tables would help us get information about the products. The same thing, so I could look at geography too and do the same thing, top 1000. So I won't go through everything, right? But this is just an idea of how you could do this. So geography, so I can see anything that contains location, right? This table contains it. I can see city, states, country, etc. So this is awesome. So back to the business problem, right? So I've seen fields that could help me with product region information. So sales, let's look at where we could get sales information. So one thing that I didn't mention, right? This company, they sell through main methods via the internet, right? Online. So there's an online platform where people buy products. You also have wholesalers that buy products, right? So if you come here, for example, you see a table called fact reseller sales. These are wholesalers that buy from the company and sell to other consumers. But for our analysis, we just focus on the online platform to make it just simple. So this table, fact internet sales, right? This contains information about transactions that happen via the online platform. So this typically should contain information about sales. So let's explore this table and see what it contains. So right click the same view, top 1000 rows. Yeah, so I can see this is a fact table, right? So you see keys to other dimensions, and then you see facts attributes. So this is product key. This is how this table is linked to the product table. Other date key. This is how this table is linked to the date table. So you have the same thing, right? Customer key, promotion, currency, sales territory, etc., etc., etc. So let me slide this to the right-hand side. Yeah, awesome. So I can start seeing some facts columns, right? I'm seeing quantity. So for each transaction, how many units were ordered? I'm seeing unit price. I'm seeing amounts, discount amounts. So not all these fields are useful, but I'm trying to see some fields that will help us, right? So I can see cost of products. I can see sales amounts. I can see tax amounts. I can see some useful fields here, right? So this, I think I've gotten the fields that can help me answer the first question. Products columns, geographic columns, and also the fact table that contains fact sales. So back to my business problems. The next one is saying, what is our current sales performance and how does it compare to past performance and industry benchmarks? So this is like talking about sales trends, previous periods and current period. How's the sale performing? So for these, right, I'm looking at sales over time. So we already have a sales table, but we need a date dimension. So let's check our database if we have a date dimension here. So I come on here and let's look at these columns. So I can see a column here, right? Dim date. So I think this should contain columns around time, right? So I open these up. So the same thing, top 1000 rows. And here you can see different date fields, right? Dates, day of week. I assume you have months also. So you have months in English, Spanish, French. This is a multinational company, right? So you have different languages that are being factored in. So I could see quarter, year, fiscal year, etc. So I have a dates table. That's awesome. So I think I have what I need for the second question. And then for the last question, customer satisfaction and layout labor. So you're looking at customer behavior and their how they purchase things, right? And you're trying to possibly check for loyal customers, check for those that churn, etc. So I need a customer dimension. So let's see if we have that. And you have a dim customer dimension table. That's awesome. So I expect to see information about customers here. So I right click this table and choose this table. So let's see what it contains. So I can see a customer key, yeah, geography key. So this table connects to the geography table, yeah, geography key. Then you have the customer names, first name, middle name, last name, etc., etc., etc. Their gender, their email address, and a lot of other information. So I think I have all I need, right, to start answering this question. So we identified all the dimensions we need: geography, products, category, subcategory products, dates dimension, geography dimension, and customer dimension. And we'll also be working with the fact internet sales table, right? So the slight challenge here is that this tables, right? So the rule of thumb, right, when working with data from databases, right, in Power BI, it's best to do all your cleaning if possible at the source. So if you're working with very large data, it's best to do all your cleaning at the source. as much as you can do it at the source. So SQL, you just try to clean the data up in SQL. Then anything that can be done in SQL, you can do that in Power BI, right? That way it helps give you better performance compared to when you do a lot of transformations in Power Query. That might affect your model performance. So these tables, they are not in the best structure for our analysis, right? So I'll show you what I mean. So because of time, I've already written some scripts before now that will help us do all this stuff. So what I can do is I'll make new queries. So new query. But before I go on, let me just show something. So this adventure database, I think the time frame, right, of the table, it ends in 2014 also. So let me just do something quickly. Select distinct. Select distinct. I think is it called calendar year? I think calendar year. Calendar year from the dim date table. Let me show you what I mean. Exactly. So if you look at the years here, right? The date stops at 2014. So I think 205 also down to 2014. So what I did was I found a script that helped me update this data, right? So recent years. So I would share the script with the video. So you could do this also. But I have the script saved on, give me a second. I have the script saved on my GitHub, but I think I'll put the script in a folder and share with everyone. So you could replicate this also. So give me a second, let me get the script on here. So get the scripts that will help us update our database. Give me a second. Yes, I'm on GitHub. I go to my repositories. So I think these yeah, I saved the script. Yeah, awesome. So I'll just copy the script and bring it to my so I'll paste the script in my query here. When running this, make sure what you have here is AdventureWorks, right? In this box here, AdventureWorks. Or just do what I did. You come to your database, do a right click and click on new query, right? And then run the query in the query console. So I won't go through this query, but it's kind of large, right? Because of time. But then this query is just updating our database, right? With recent data. That's what it's doing. So I'll execute this query. Before I run this query, let me run one more query to show us. So select, come on here. Let me check fact table columns, other data, yeah. So select top 10 other dates from fact internet sales table, and then order by order dates in the sending order. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to just show us the most recent data in this fact table. Okay, awesome. So you can see, right, in the facts internet table, the most recent data is 2014, January 28th. So let's run the script I just brought in here and see what it does to our data. So I execute this, and it might take some time. So once it's done, we will run the script and see that the data is now updated. So that way we can work with recent data. So while that's running, I'll just create a quick ARD of the tables you're working with. So in SQL Server, right, how to create an ARD, you come to database diagrams and do a right click and choose database diagram new. So I think by default you get an error, but then there's a script I use to so what happened is that your database you created, there's no owner yet, right? So what I did was that is a script I use. I think is this one, DB assign owner. So I will include this also with the portfolio files. You could check it out in case yours doesn't work. So you come on here, right? And once you run this query, right, it assigns an owner now to the database. So you can now use this feature, right? So let me come again, right? If you try to create an ARD, you might get some errors. So what you do is you come to your database, right click, new query, and then you can paste this query in there. Once you run this query, it assigns an owner to the database. So now you can now use this feature, right? So I come on here, let me see, database diagram. Okay, awesome, awesome. So you can see the error, right? It says I can't execute this because the schema name does not exist, etc., etc., etc. So I'll run this query now. I'll try to assign an owner to the database. So I execute this. It says completed successfully, right? So when I try it again now, I expect it to work. So it says does not have one or more supports. Do you wish to create them? I'll say yes. And now I can choose my tables and create my ARD. So remember the tables we worked with, right? We said we'll need the customer table. So I hold control, the date table, we'll need geographic table. So we'll need all the product information. They are spread across 3 tables. So we'll need product, category, and subcategory. And then we'll need, let's see. Okay, we need this data also, sales territory. It has information about location too. And lastly, we'll need our facts table, facts internet sales. So that's about 8 tables, right? So I want to create an ARD. I hit add. So I think our query should be done running by now. So my laptop has been active since morning. So I expect it to have some lag. So I think it's generated the ARD. So I'll close this and let's look at, let me just make this zoom smaller. Zoom into 50%. Yeah, cool. So this is a diagram showing how our tables are connected, right? So one thing I don't like is that we might not be able to see this clearly. We might need to save it as an image before you see it very well. But this is the ARD of all the tables we need, right? So I don't want to waste much time on this, but what you can see clearly, right? You can see that we are seeing more of a snowflake schema. So ideally, you want to have a star schema where all the dimension tables are connected to your fact table directly. But here we are seeing that some dimensions are connected to themselves, right? So you're seeing all this snowflake connections. But ideally, we want to create a star schema where all the dimensions will just connect directly to the fact internet sales. So what I would do now is I would run some SQL scripts to just create special tables for my project, and I'll model them in a star schema and use that to create my report in Power BI, right? So the end goal is to go from this snowflake schema to a star schema while still retaining the same information that I need to create my report. Because like we've seen previously, right, star schema gives the optimum performance. So let's go back to this query. So we went previously. So previously we had 2014 as the most recent date. Let me execute this and see. So you can see that our tables are now updated, right, to the current year, 2023. Previously I was saying 2014, but now it's now updated to the current year, 2023. So now we can start creating our tables for analysis. So for this project, right, we could go in 2 ways. We could create tables or create views. But I opted for views because in most cases they give better performance. And also, right, it won't add to this, it won't add to the workload of the database compared to when you create actual tables. So I already have scripts, right? So all the scripts is just trying to create clean views that we use for analysis. So I'll start from the first one, dim customers view.sql. I'll also include this in the project file, so you could use this also to work. So I'll explain the logic behind the scripts. So I come on here, I do a right click and open with SQL Server Management Studio. So this opens up here. So just to explain what we're doing, so it makes more sense to you. Let me open this table up, top 1000 rows. So this is a customer table, right? All those columns, we don't actually need everything. All the columns, you don't need everything. And then also, there are some information, right, that we need in a customer table, like the customer's location, for example. You don't have that information in this table. So you can't see anything about information. If you want to get the customer's location, you have to now join the customer table to geography using geography key. That is snowflake connection, combining 2 dimensions, but I don't want that, right? So what I'm doing here now is I'm trying to create a view that has the customer table alongside the geographical information, right, in one table. That way, I don't need to connect customer to geography in my analysis, right? So you see what I'm doing here, right? So let me comment this out for the main time. So this is like select, this is like select the customer key column, the first name and last name. So here I'm combining the first and last name together to create a customer name column, right? And then I'm also using a case statement, right, to just change M to male and F to female, so it's cleaner. Return the date first purchase column. So now, right, I'm joining the customer table to the geography table, right? A left join. So you're seeing it here, right? Join customer to geography. So I'm trying to bring in the city of the customer, the state's province, the country, the region, and also the postal code. So this will be my customer table. I don't have to join customer to geography to get that information. I just have everything in one table. That way I can just link this to my fact table, and that's all. So when I run this query, right, this is what it returns. So customer, the full name, the gender, first purchase date, city, states, country, region, postal code. And if you look at this one, right, all those information about geography, they are not here. So I've removed all the irrelevant columns and also added the location columns here. I think I have a question. No problem there. So let's see. So this is what the table looks like, right? But now I want to create a view that I can connect to in Power BI to do my analysis. So here, right, I'm using a what drop view if exists. This is just best practice. So before you create views, you just want this query to drop it in case it exists, and then create a new view with the same name. In this view now, I'll just put this table into this view. That's what I'm doing, right? So this top 100% is similar to select star, but just that when you're creating views, if you do an order by, right, it won't work. So let me run this and you see what happens now. I execute this query. So it says the order by clause is invalid in views, etc., etc. Unless I use something like a top function, offsets, etc. in my query. So that's why I added this top 100%. It's the same thing, right? As select star, similar to it. So this now will enable me to run this query because it accepts the order by clause. So when I execute this now, it says commands completed successfully. So I've made my view. And if I come down to my database, I come down to the views folder, right? So first, let me refresh this. So this view is called dim customers view, right? So I open up the views table. You can see the view here, right? Dim customers view. So if I open up a new query and run select star from dim customers view, and I execute this, right? You see it returns the table. So this view now, I connect to it in Power BI and do my analysis. This is clean. I don't need to do any extra work in Power BI. So the same drill, right? Customers table. Let's do the same thing for the next table. That's dim dates. So I come on here. So I won't really waste much time on this because of time. But then I assume you get the drill, right? I'm trying to just clean up the dates table and add any fields that I need, right? Without altering the original table. So I make a view, right? When I run this, I expect to create a date view called dim date view. So execute this. And it says commands completed successfully. So the same thing, I'll do it for the product table. So open this with SQL Server, Management Studio. I run this also. So I expect to see a dim product view in my views folder. Similarly, the same thing for sales territory. Open with SQL Server Management Studio. So I run this also. So it says successfully executed. Then our facts table, I think is the last table I'm running this for. So I come on here, the same drill, right? So the facts internet sales table, I'm trying to choose the columns I need and also add any columns I feel are not present here, right? So I execute this also and completed successfully. So if I come on to my views folder and refresh it, I expect to see all the views I just created here. So I come on here and I look at the views, right? You can see all the views we just created. The customers, the dates, the products, sales territory, etc. So the end goal is that I should have a star schema, right, in Power BI as against what we had previously. The ARD that we drew, right? You saw it was a snowflake schema. So we just try to transform that into a star schema. So I have my views created. The next step now is to connect these views in Power BI. So we've cleaned tables and created views. So connect the views in Power Query. So I come on to Power BI and I'll just make a new report. Wow. And new reports. Open up in a bit. So it's coming up. I have my Power BI file open. So I'll just connect to my SQL Server and bring in the views. Yeah, so on the page here, right, you just see this tab, imports from SQL Server. I'll just click on this. Since that's my data source, SQL Server. So I click on this and it's asking me for my server name. So I'll go back to SSMS. I'll disconnect and connect again. So this name here, right, that's my server name. Just copy it, Control C, and come back here and put the name here. So database optional. So I'll just put it there. I log in, connect, and I come down to databases. Just click on this twice and copy the text there. Take that to Power BI also. Database name, and I hit OK. So I'm doing an import, right? Import. So I hit OK. And this should show me all the items that are in the database, the tables, the views, etc. So here you can see my views, right? Customer, dates, products, territory, internet sales. So I'll go on and choose all this. So I hit transform data. And this should open up our views in Power Query. Error with the date view. What's the issue? Yes, let me just check this. I know I made some changes recently. Hope I didn't do any errors there. Day, month short, year, month, this, quarter, year, this. So why am I getting errors? So you say it's invalid column name, year, month, invalid column name, quarter, year. Okay, I think she's updated. For whatever reason, I don't know what happened, but then I had to refresh it and it's updated. So these are all my tables, right? The 4 dimensions and 1 fact. So for this analysis, right, we are also given a budget data, but that's on an Excel CSV file. So that's like not really budget, sorry, it's sales targets, right, for different months on an Excel file. So I'll bring that in also. New, come down to text/CSV. And this is a file, right? Sales targets. So it has sales target data for different months. So I'll bring this in also. So that's a facts table, right? It has just the months and the sales targets. So I hit OK. So cool, I have all my data. So the beauty of this is we've done most of our coding in SQL. So we'll just do a second check to see if there's anything that needs cleaning. So this is customer. The type is numeric, yeah, whole number. This text, this date. Cities, text. And this text also, yeah. So we'll go on to dates. This text, the dates key, this dates, this text. So month number. This showing a decimal, right? It should be whole number, not decimal. Whole number. And then you have year, month as dates. Year, month as text. Year, month as text. This quarter. This text. And this should be whole number also, not decimal. Whole number. Yeah. So go on to the products table. This text. Yeah, this should be, yeah, cost. That's in dollars. This text is in dollars also. Text. Yeah, so I think we have a change to make here. So we have the products, they are pictures, right? But it's in binary format. So Power BI can't really do anything with this data. We have to transform it. So what I would do is I'll first change the type to text. So I currently is binary, right? I'll change to text. So this is text, right? So the goal is we want to use the images to like make visuals in Power BI. So I'll make a new column and transform this text column into a format that Power BI can read for. What I'll do is I'll come on to the add column tab. I want to make a new column. So come on to add column tab and I'll come down to custom column. All right, custom column, that's what I want to do. So I click on custom column. And my column name, I'll just call this, what is currently called? Products photo. I'll just call it product image. Product image. And is equal to, so I'll just paste this formula. And let's see. So I'll put the column that contains the image here. That's product photo. So what I'm doing here is I just want this. So I'm trying to assign these rights to a JPEG format in base64. So this way, Power BI can read the file, right? So this formula is what you type in, right? Put an ampersand sign, and then choose the product photo column that contains the text. So once you have this, you hit OK. And this way, Power BI can interpret this and use it to create pictures, right? So I don't need this column again. I'll just remove this, right click and remove this column. So let's go on to the next table. This text, no, this is not text. This should be whole number. Whole number also, whole number, whole number, whole number. These are all keys. They should be whole numbers. And when I scroll to the right, these are all whole numbers. They're keys. Yeah, this is text. Quantity should be whole numbers. Unit price, amount, standard cost, product cost, sales amount, and profits. This looks good. Territory view, territory region, country group, all text. Yeah. Target, dates, currency. So our data looks good, right? So next thing is to bring it into Power BI and make our data model. So I hit put and apply. So we didn't do much cleaning in Power Query because we've done much of that in SQL. And like I said, that's best practice. If you have access to the back end and you can do much cleaning there, then I advise you to follow that route. So let's look at our data model and see what it looks like. So we expect to have a star schema, right? And just reduce this here. Okay. So this is my fact table, internet sales. I expect all the DIN tables to connect directly to the internet sales table. So here I can see territory key to territory key. So it's good to always check these connections, right? Probably I did it automatically, but you just cross-check and confirm that it's accurate. So this looks accurate. So like we said, right, we want a star schema. We don't want dimensions to dimensions connecting. So I'll just delete this, not necessary. Since they are both connected to this internet sales table. So product is connected to internet sales by what field? By the product key. That looks correct. So here's the dates table. So these are two fact tables, right? Internet sales and sales targets. So you can have multiple fact tables, right? But the thing is that they should all assume a star schema. All dimensions should be linked to the facts. You don't want dimensions to other dimensions. So the sales targets just link dates to dates on the dates table. So dates table dates, sales target dates, connect that. And then also the dates table also links to the fact internet sales. by. So you have multiple date fields in the order table. So you have due dates, you have order dates. I think you also have ship dates also. So if you are trying to do some analysis about shipping efficiency and stuff like that, you might need those fields, right? So in that instance, what you can do is you just have multiple date tables. So you have, for each of these fields, due dates will have its own date table. Shipping dates will have its own date table. Same with order date also, its own date table. So you just link to them individually. But in this case, I'll just link by order date key. So I'll just do dates to order date key. Because for our analysis, we don't need to analyze the shipping and all those stuff. So I'll just go by order dates. So I have all this connected, and I think, yeah, one thing, this is showing by directional. I don't want this. Let's say one to many and single direction. Okay. And one thing I like to do so I don't forget. So all the ID fields in your fact table, you just hide them. So since they also exist in your dimension tables, so I just hide them since I won't be using them for any reporting. So hide the order date key, hide the product key, hide this also, hide sales territory. So all the key fields, right, in your fact tables, you just hide them since you won't be using them for analysis. So you don't clutter your reporting page. Yeah, customer key also, I hide this too. So let's go to the other fact table as targets and hide the dates also. So I'll use the date in the dates table. So I'll just hide this dates. I don't need it. So once I have this, I think the next step, right, is to create measures and start making reports. So I think it's best practice, right, to always have like a sketch of the reports you're trying to make. That way, you then use that to guide you when designing your reports. So for this, I already did something similar here, right? So I'll just use this to guide me. Though I might not use the same color of stuff, but I'll just use it as a guide. And like I said, this is a two-part video, right? So we'll just stop halfway and finish this up in the next section. So I think what I'd like to do, I'd like to create the measures I will need for this analysis. So I come on here, I'll make a new table for measures. So table tools, I come on to new table. So I'll make a table where I'll save all my measures. So I come on here, I'll call this key measures. And this is just a blank table. So open this a curly brackets, type in the blank function and close the curly brackets. And I'll just do some tweaking to the name so that the table comes first here. So square bracket space and your name, and then enter. Yeah, this is my measures table, right? So I can start putting measures here. So from our business questions, right? From the business questions we had, some things we'd like to see, right? Like sales performance over time. And maybe we want to look at profits also. And some other important, maybe number of orders and stuff like that. So let's make measures around these fields. So I'll come on here, just make a new measure. And for this, I'll just call this total sales. And this simply is sum of the sales column and the top sales amounts. Yeah. From the fact table, the sales amounts, total sales. So I'll make another measure also, new measure. And for this measure, I'll just count number of orders. So I'll call this total orders. So I'll do a distinct count of the order line key column in the fact table. So all the unique order lines, that should be unique orders. So I'll count them, enter. If I find something, let's see, stable. So you count the sales order number rather, not the order line key. So sales order number rather. So the other line key, right? You could have one customer buy multiple products. And the other line key it contains those product numbers. But order number is just the order number. So this should be the accurate field to use. Sales order number. So I enter this. Order. Maybe we want to also look at profits. So let me do a measure for profit also. So total profits. I'll call it profit amount. This is just simply sum of the profits column in the facts table. Measure. Let's do one for the targets also. So I'll call this total target. So this sum of the targets column in our sales target table. That's this field. So one thing we might want to do, right? So we are asking our business question to compare sales over time. So how does it compare to past performance, right? Second question. So I want to look at sales in previous years and compare it to this year. So what we can do is we can do a growth rate calculation. So comparing this period this year with the same period last year, by how much have we grown, right? So for this, I will need a measure called last year sales. So I'll compare the current year or the previous year. So this is just simply, I'll calculate the sales field. And now I will look at this. I'll look at this for the same period last year. This takes in the dates field, the dates table. Dates, yeah. let me just visualize what I just did, right? So this is a table visual. So if I bring in and bring in year, for example, if I bring in year, for example, so it's showing sum. I don't want sum. So I'll come here and choose don't summarize. Just shows the years. So if I choose total sales, for example, you'll see the sales for each of these years. I think it's a reason. Let me see. Okay, yeah, this is a reason. So we connected dates to date key, but it's meant to be date key to date key. I think that's the issue. So let's see. Yeah, but that date key should connect to date key and not date. So whenever you have issues calculations, most times it's from the data modeling. So we need to fix the issue. So I expect when I choose the correct field, this should work correctly now. So I'll choose other date key and put that on the date key in the date table. Previously, it was on dates, but that's not correct. So now this looks accurate, I think. Yeah. So now I have other date key connected to date key. Yeah. So when I come back here now, see the chart has updated. So that's what I want to see. So let me take this over and bring in here again. So I don't want the sum. I want the individual years. Yeah, awesome. So to show you how the measure works, right? If I bring in the last year's sales we just made now, for every year, it will return the sales of the previous year, right? So in 2020, there was no previous year. 2019 is not available, so it's blank, right? So you can see in 2021, let me zoom in, it's not returning what's the sales for the previous year, 7,075. In 2022, return the sales for the previous year, 5,840. Just like that, right? So returns the previous year sales, allow the measure works. So now we want to calculate growth rates. So we'll look at this year minus last year and divide by last year, right? So let's make a measure for that. So I'll come on here and make a new measure. And I'll call this year-on-year growth. This is equal to, so for these, all of these, use a function called divide. So divide takes in a numerator and denominator, right? So for here, our numerator would be the difference between the current sales. So current sales minus last year's sales. That's the numerator. And then the denominator would be last year's sales. Last year's sales. So you're saying subtract this year by last year and divide by last year's value. So I hit enter. So I expect that to work. So what other measure would we want to do? Well, we might want to look at profit margin also. Profit margin. So this is just simply profit divided by sales. Of the profits that we have, or of the sales that we've done, right? What percentage is profitable? That's what you're trying to calculate. So just simply divide profits by, so divide function, divide profits by sales. And then we might need one more measure. So that might take time. I'll just copy it and bring it in. This measure, we're trying to just divide. We want to find of all the products, right? What percentage do they contribute to total sales? We're trying to do. But the thing now with Power BI, right, like we said in earlier sections, Power BI uses filter context, right? Raw context when you're making measures, right? So the context is very important. So this formula is just trying to ensure that if we look at profits and if you look at products and the percentage of their sales, by default, it should show us the percent of all the products. Then when I choose a category, for example, it should filter for that category and show me of all the category for that product, what percent they contribute. The same drill also, if we come down to a subcategory and I filter for that, it would show me for that subcategory, what percent did that product contribute to that subcategory. But by default, if you do it right, it will not really capture the context. So this formula is just helping us do that. So this first variable, right, is just our normal formula, total sales. The next variable is subcategory sales. So you're just trying to what? This measure all selected, right? It tries to limit the filter context, right? So this way, it just prevents anything about products from filtering this total sales measure. That way, it tries to preserve the context, right, for the subcategory sales. The same thing also, right? We just change products to subcategory. The same thing, we just change subcategory to category. And lastly, I just looked at the whole products table. And then this last variable, right? It says if currently you have the context for the product, then divide current sales by all sales. However, if you have the context for the subcategory, so this is just trying to just ensure that we filter the correct value. So I don't want to waste much time on this, but I enter this and close it. And I think we have most of the measures we need. We can start making visuals. So what I like to do is I'll just before I start design, I'll just choose like probably a grayish background. So I want to canvas background. I just choose possibly a gray color. Yeah, so this is not the final design. Just start building. So for this, so we have a logo, right, for the company. So I'd like to just put that in the design to customize it. So I'll come to the Insert tab, the right hand side, you'll see this icon, right? Add image to your report, the top right. So I'll come on here and choose the option. I'll come to the project folder. So I'll share this folder with everyone. So you come to the images folder and you see a logo there. So I choose this. So what I can do is resize this to make it smaller. Okay. And next, I'm just bringing a text box. So top right also, a text box. And here I'll just give this a table. So I'll give it a name. I just call these just call this sales performance. So this is the first page, face performance dashboard. And I can make this bold also. Just put it somewhere. So we can start bringing in chats. So try to answer the question. So what's the current market demand for our products? And how does it vary by region? So for this, I'll just try to look at trend of sales over time. So I'll bring in a combo chart, line and clustered column chart. For this, let's look at this over time. So I'll come on here and choose the year month English column. And I'll choose sales, our sales measure. If you look at this, you see that the dates are now arranged in order. December, November, October, it's just random. So for this, right, we'll try to fix this. So I'll click on the column I'm using for this report. That's the year month English. And I'll try to sort this by a numeric column that corresponds to those values. So I'll choose this value and top right, see this icon here, right? This icon here, sort one column by another. This is what I'll click on. I'll click the drop down here. And I'll sort the year month English column by by the year month column. So what I'll do now is let me take off the year month English and bring it in again. Yeah, so you can see it's now ordered, right? So I can now see January, February, March, April, May, just like that. So this is now ordered. And what I can do is I can put it on the line axis, make it to be the line rather, instead of column. And now in the column, what I'll do is for the column, so this can take two kinds of charts, a line and a column chart. For the column, I'll just bring in the year-on-year growth. Yeah, let's see this there. So this can show us over time how sales are growing. And let's see from the question, yeah, asked to demand for our products and how it varies by region. So I have this, I can also bring in a slicer, for example. This slicer, I'll just put in region from location table. So in sales territory has region there. I'll choose region. I think the best one will be country. I can see for each country. Check the model was sure. So location table is not filtering updates. Yeah, looks like we linked by the wrong column. This correct now. Sales territory key. Sales territory key. Yeah, this correct. Sales territory key. Okay, quick test with the cost on the banking region here. I'll figure out why that's not picking up. But then for the meantime, let's just use a test. So this country, yeah. So we're asked to look at sales performance, right, by region. So here I can, from the chart, right, you could see some insights. For example, in Australia, right, this bars here is showing you the year-on-year growth, right? So this January 2021, for example. So to make this make sense, the year-on-year growth should be as a percentage. So I choose this column, and what I'll do, so you click on the column that's highlighted, come onto this measure tools and click on percentage. So this formats the value as percentages. Yeah, cool. So for example, right, this is January 2021. It's comparing this month with the same period last month, right? That's January 2020. And you can see that when you compare this month, the sales, right, you have higher sales in 2020 than in 2021. So you see it's negative, right? So I can easily tell that for 2021 compared to 2020 in Australia, we had lower sale values, right? So you have negative growth values. However, in 2022, you can see what all this growth percentage is positive, right? It's going upwards. So we are doing better in 2022 compared to 2021. And you can look at this by different countries, right? So similar trends here. However, France compared to 2020, they did well in 2021. And compared to 2021, they're also doing well. So you look at the overall trend, right? It's going upwards. So that was a good sign for France. Germany also, so they have mixed performance in 2021. So there's a good insight for the stakeholder. So what else can I visualize here? So let's look at what I did here quickly. So I have profit by category. Okay, it's a simple column chart. Profits. Just take this somewhere up there. So here I'll bring in profits amounts. As if I just click on it, right? So you choose this chart highlighted. I click on profit amounts, that's value. And then to see it by category. So I want to see which products, which category of products are more profitable. So I'll come to the products table, products view, and choose category. So the cool thing with Power BI is that you can have hierarchies, right? Currently, I'm seeing products, but I can also bring subcategory, right? And drag it on that category. And now you see these buttons that come up here, right? You have this buttons. So I can go down a hierarchy, for example. This is the bike category. If I click this bar now, it now shows me the subcategories on that bike, right? Same way also, if I add the product names now on that subcategory, I can also go down for each subcategory and see the products there. So I click on this now, right? You now see the products that are under the bike subcategory. So you can create hierarchies, right? So I'll go back up the hierarchy, back to products, profits by category. So one chart I can do is I can just also do a quick, simple pie chart, right? That just shows what sales. So sales by each region. All right, sales by each region. Let's do quick further. It's showing the same thing across all values. Interesting. So this previous chart I did here is the exact same modeling I did now. And just confirm something and see the model here. This is sales, dim category, territory key to territory key. The exact same thing. So what's now different? Okay, I'm seeing a line, it's not active. Let me brighten my screen. So I'm seeing you're seeing the line, right? It's not active. So I need to find out what the issue is. Properties. Territory key. 1, 2, 3. I expect this to work correctly now. Yeah, perfect. So I can see, yeah, the share of each group. So North America, Pacific, Europe, the share of the sales. Yeah, cool. So I could also use a table, right? So let's look at products. I'll bring in, so we use the image field, right? Like we try to convert it. So before you can use an image, right, in Power BI, you need to have Power BI recognize that as an image. So I'll choose the image column, click on it, right? It's highlighted. So I'll come onto the top right where you have these 3 ellipses, and I'll click on the ellipses. Right. So I click on ellipses here. And you have properties, data category. This drop down, I'll click on it and I'll come down to where you have image URL. So I'll choose that option. So I'm having Power BI recognize this field as an image URL. So now I can now bring this into my table and let's see if it's shows an image. I click on this, right? And you can see it now shows the images, right? So you're seeing the different images, bikes, clothing, etc. So for this product, I'll just put a name beside it also. So the product name. And then one thing we can also show is, let's look at the things we calculated, right? So we can look at the total sales for each product. We can also look at the profit margin for each of them. So what percentage of this sales was profitable? So what I can do is I'll just come on here and make it a percentage. So click on the margin column, right? Highlighted, come onto the measure tools and hit this percentage icon. So you should now change to percentages. Yeah, awesome. I'll just make it 0 decimal places. Yeah, 23%. And then also I can also show so we did something like market share. So I'll click on this also, the market share. For each product, just show me the share of total sales for each product. So this is showing as decimal also, the same drill. Click on the measure. It's highlighted, right? Then come on to this place, click on percentage. Yeah. I think this looks good. So you can see that our dashboard space, right? It looks like we have more visuals than space allows. So I can just come on here. So click on a blank canvas, then come to this paintbrush icon and come down to no, no, just come onto the brush icon, come down to canvas settings. Currently is a 16 by 9 orientation. So I come on here and choose custom. And here you can now change the height of your report, for example. So I could do 850, for example. And you can see the canvas becomes longer. And I could do 1450, for example. And you see it becomes wider, right? So I can adjust this report and have them take up more space. So one more chart before we wrap up for tonight. So I'll just come on here and let's make it a drop down. So let's drop down. Yeah. One more chart I'll add here is a map. So I'll come on here, right? So you have this map, but I think it's an Azure map or something. So I click on this and it comes on the canvas. So on this map, I'll just show countries and their sales. Please hold control, click on this, bring it down a bit. Something that's hold control, down a bit. So on the map here, I'll bring in country from the region table, from the territory table rather. So country, location, and then I'll bring in total sales. And I'll put that in the bubble size field. So you can see these bubbles, right? They're showing you the size of sales for each country. We also do some formatting, this map settings, style. I'll choose light. We have different, you have dark. So whichever one you fancy, you could work with that, right? I think I'll go with the light. Yeah. Then what else? So you could put on category level also. And instead of bubbles, you could do heat maps too. So you could take a put this on bubbles go off, and now you have heat maps. You change the color of the heat maps and do other stuff, right? But I'll just prefer to go with the bubbles for now. So let's do bubbles. I can make the size a bit bigger. Okay. So quickly, I'll just add card visual. Oh, so we have targets, right? So let's show that here also. So I'll bring in a KPI card. And this card. So you have value, right? I'll put in sales as value. Sales in a value. Trend axis. I will look at this by the month, year, English. Year, month, English, yeah, this. And then for targets, right, we'll put our targets, our sales targets on the sales target table. Sorry, I have a measure for that without target. I'll put that in targets. Yeah, so I'll just do some formatting to the title. For sales class targets. That's okay. Add quick card visuals. Um, let's make duplicates of this. Um, over here, over here, over here. And this one, I'll just shoot total orders. And here, I'll just show total sales. Yeah, I'll show total profits. And here, I'll show profit margin. And I could add one slide, just before, maybe months, something dates, just put months here. Yeah, so there's still a lot we can do, but then this is a good start. So let me see. Yeah. So now we have charts, right, that answered most of the questions that we asked. So the next step is to beautify this chart and make it have great aesthetics. So I think time is fast spent, so I'll stop here for today. Are there any questions that anyone has based on what we've done so far, both in SQL and here in Power BI before I round up? So you can just type in the chat or you raise your hand. Yeah, I can hear you. Go on.
Hi, Obina.
Yeah, hi, I can hear you.
It's been a while. So my question is this, based on this dashboard that you have created, you still will need to do a storytelling on it, right? And when doing the
Yes,
storytelling, are you going to copy these charts and put them by labeling them in figure size, or you just save this dashboard the way it is, then attach it entirely and make reference to it in your storytelling?
yeah. So I think currently there's a way you could like have your dashboards, right? put in PowerPoint and they're interactive. So that's one thing that you could do, right? You could have it somewhere in your dashboard, but then for each question, what I would do is I will have like a chat that answers that business question or chat, right? I'll have a slide where I put the business question. I'll put the chat, right? Then I'll add my answers to the question and then my recommendations based on the chats, what it's saying. So if for each question, I'll have a slide for each question. On that slide, I'll have a chat and my recommendations based on my analysis for each of those business questions. And like I said, right, you can now add maybe the dashboard that's interactive on PowerPoint. But I know that that's possible now. You could do that. So in case the stakeholder wants to go further, instead of going to the Power BI report, you could just do it in PowerPoint there, filter, and choose what he or she wants to see. So that's how I'll go about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So are there any other questions? Okay, so if there are none, I think we can round up for today. So thank you all for your time and have a great night's rest and an amazing week ahead. The next section, we'll try to take this further and make it look more aesthetically pleasing.